If Jesus promised to produce His own works in us, why do we still continue to try to produce our own righteousness? Why do we still try our hardest and our best to do what is right and good things so we can be saved? Goodness that is only external is repulsive to God. Our own goodness will only make us moral. Not that being moral is a bad thing, but when it comes to righteousness and our salvation, it is. There are many who try to battle with sin and the devil, and keep continuing to fail miserably. We see this issue throughout the Old Testament where Israel keeps trying to keep the commandments of God, but they constantly keep drifting away from Him and be led into idolatry. Jesus already knew about this issue we have, so He provided a solution for us in the Bible, but we manage to overlook it. It's right in the Gospel of John. Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing." Did you catch that? He who abides in me and I in him, bears much fruit. John 1:5 verse 4 makes it even clearer. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. Jesus just gave us the solution to our problem right here. The reason why we keep falling and failing and sinning is because we do not abide in Him. Even when we produce our own works or righteousness, they would be considered evil works because they were done without abiding in Him. When we abide in Him, He produces the good works for us, not us. But what does it mean to abide in Him? Luke 2:4 verse 29 says, "But they constrained Him, saying, Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And He went in to tarry with them." The two men who were walking with Jesus on the road to Emmaus, when they reached the house, told Jesus to abide with them because it was getting dark. Another word for abide is to stay with, or to remain with. They told Jesus to stay with them, or to remain with them, to abide. Jesus uses this same word with context in John 15. He who abides in me, and I in him, or in other words, he who remains or stays with me, and I remain and stay with him, bears much fruit. For without staying and remaining in me, you can do nothing, to produce your own works in righteousness. These words also are relationship words. When you are abiding with someone, it means you are having that personal intimate relationship with them. You are talking to that person, you are listening to them talk back to you, and doing things with them. A form of personal communication, so to say. This is how it is also in the Christian world. When we talk with Jesus, we do it through prayer, and as we grow more and more in Him, we start talking to Him as if we were talking to a friend. When we listen to Jesus talk back to us, we do this through reading His scriptures. The more and more we get acquainted with Jesus by reading the scriptures, the more our faith grows, in constancy in learning to depend upon Him more. As a result of doing these two things, we get the spark of conversion. Our attitude toward God changes, and we have a new capacity for knowing Him. This is called the new birth, or being born again. This could happen in a number of ways. For some, it happens gradually and we may not even be aware of the exact time it happened, while for others, it happens almost immediately. John 3:8 The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. We cannot see the wind or tell where it comes from and where it goes, but we can see its effects. It works the same way for the Holy Spirit. We may not notice right away when we become born again, when the Holy Spirit comes and go, but we can notice its effects. We cannot hold our peace, but instead, we share with others what Jesus did for us, and what we gain from doing these two things every day. So now, John 15 verse 4, Abide in me, and I in you. Continue to have that day-by-day meaningful abiding relationship with me by prayer and reading the scriptures. This is how we can become personal friends with God. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. Attempting to produce good works without that abiding day-by-day relationship will only be external or false obedience, and we already know that such obedience is loathsome to God. Isaiah 64 verse 6 and Romans 3 verse 10 remind us of this. John 15 verse 5, He who has that meaningful relationship with Jesus bears much fruit as a result of that relationship. We do not produce them of ourselves, but they are the byproduct of a relationship with Jesus. Isn't this good news? That we don't have to worry or focus our attention on trying to produce good works? Because Jesus promises to do them for us. That's why He tells us to abide, and not obey. Come to Him, and He will take your burdens off your shoulders. Now, even though this is good news for us, we have another problem a lot of Christians often face. When we understand that Jesus does the good works for us, we sometimes look at ourselves to see whether we are improving or not. We get anxious and worried when we see that we are still doing bad things, or that we don't receive the favorable works immediately, and then we consciously try to do right, and we enter into the same problem of external obedience. But let us remember this: we will not grow by trying to grow. There is nothing more detrimental to spiritual growth than to be constantly checking yourself for fruit. The way to grow is by eating and partaking of the bread of life and the water of life. That means to be in daily communion with Him, by prayer, Bible study, and witness. The one who experiences the most rapid growth is the one who looks away from self and concentrates on Christ. Growth is a gift. Mankind can never gain for himself what God has promised to give. Do you sometimes wonder if you are growing? Well, there's only one way to know. Look at whether you are eating. The eating determines the growth every time.